Charlie, it's an absolute pleasure to be here again. The recording is in progress. Yes, it is. Wow, so loud in my headphones. Thank you all. Yeah, so I've been sober for a minute. I have been doing peer recovery. I already counted up with the days. I'm gonna count up with my peer recovery. I actually got sober on the streets of Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm still at. Well, not on the streets, but not far from it. I'll get into that. Um, I got sober with Alcoholics Anonymous, which is crazy to me because I've seen the power of AA and how it's helped so many individuals across the planet get sober and stay sober. However, with me, I was. I'm trying to remember what I said in the podcast because I broke it down in the original podcast, but I was well over 5 years before I ever came into a Zoom room. I bounced around to a few, and I kind of just got stuck here because I like the people, great folks. Here, were more relatable with the shares, and it had some funky formats, and it wasn't the AA. It wasn't what I imagined AA to be. Because I tried to go to Zoom rooms in 2021 when I was a couple of years alcohol free, and it was just like, okay, I don't think I'm going to quit weed into this right now. So many people were doing so many crazy things, and people had not worked out the security. But since my last share, I talked about my story, how it was stalked and harassed and monitored. I think it's episode 69, 70, 71, around there, on the Sobercast. And I had a story. I had everything stripped from me in when I got sober the second time, and hopefully the last time, from weed. And I was literally sleeping on a laptop case with a laptop in it. I didn't get to say everything. I'll say a few things. I knew police were involved, so fuck them. Not all police, but the police that were involved in that. I had like bugs in my laptop case. I had to throw my laptop case around out, and I had to like get my brain together. Day 4 and 5 in sobriety. It was so nuts. I had my laptop in a plastic bag. That laptop is probably at my mom's house or somewhere now. It might be thrown away. I don't know. But I got everything important off of there. And to this day, I think I'm in year 3. I kind of like the idea of counting things up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in year 3 of being a self-taught software engineer, which is pretty dope. I have made myself and people some money through sports betting just on one fucking market, one thing. I'm just getting started, baby. So I'm having a really good time with it. I have a partner that does similar things, but he's an actual software engineer. And so it's like, he was doing it for 13 years, so he's going to help me out with different parts of the software. I'm looking to have an app to you pretty soon, or not to you, but to whoever needs it pretty soon. So I'm really happy that I stuck with it, and that was one of the pillars of my sobriety. Something I talk a lot about in rooms is the importance of doing things in your sobriety, in your recovery, rather. It's saying I'm not going to buy any more drugs is one thing. Saying you're not going to use is another thing, but actually finding replacement activities to replace the time and the mental energy you spent. Wow, that really supercharged it for me, y'all. I had something to do even when I didn't have a job. I was at my mom's house shortly after I got off the streets in Tucson, moved back to the Atlanta where I grew up, and was building this massive database. I'd be on the internet all day, chat GPT. Eventually I had to borrow my mom's car to make some money before I moved in with a cocaine addict in Pahrump outside of Vegas. And I made a little money here, and I was using that money to pay for Claude or ChatGPT Premium, and then I switched to Claude because they said it was better on the internet for coding, and they were right. Still use that to this day, and just really was going hard. I built this database that today I'm still dealing with, and I'm still working everything off it. It's an amazing thing. Even though Claude fucks up and it runs out of usage limits and it says, oh, look, I fixed everything for you. No, you did. You screwed everything up. So I make it fix its own mistakes. And that's been a journey. And if I can stay sober through that, anybody can stay sober through anything. As well as I've had a hell of a year since I last shared. And I went through pretty much all the triggering things I talked about in the original share, with the exception of actually living on the streets. I went through almost everything. Everything I went through in 37 years, I went through it in like 4 or 5 months. It was so insane. So let me back up. I ended this year really desperately trying to get a job driving because I love to drive. I also love technology, so I have a job that does both of them together. At the time of recording, I was waiting on the background check, right? And I was actually struggling. I struggled a lot. I bounced around from AA to LifeRing, where I now do service, which is LifeRing Cycle Recovery. So I'm not going to try to plug that too much. But if you know, you know, I'm in there. And the hours work better with my schedule. So I ended up doing service there. When I was on the AANP, I did a lot of service, but I was working at a call center making under minimum wage. But the only good thing about it was I was at home. I was already on the same computer I used to do service and go to meetings on. And yeah, I had a lot of flexibilities. I mean, night meetings, day meetings. You know, we had alternate meetings, we had spin-off meetings. So I'm getting kind of really engrossed in the Zoom world. And I think it's important that people, whether it's Zoom or real life, it seems to work for me and others, is to be involved in the community. I'm really controversial. I would say AA is not the only way to get sober. I would say do whatever it takes. Because I said for years I was sober without it. I was sober from weed without it, but also relapsed without it. That was the bad part. But the good part is I sobered up again without it. But I was approaching a year, and I almost relapsed trying to get a job that would have absolutely disqualified me from getting the job. Matter of fact, I drug tested and was struggling and really wanted to do it because I was stressing out because they took so long to put my paperwork through that their drug test expired after a month, and that's around the time I was about to relapse on weed. And so I had to drug test again. So had it not been for AANP, I would have failed the drug test. Then when they ran it the second time, even though I would have passed the first time. Because I was thinking, oh, if I smoke it, I don't have to worry about it for at least 3, 4 months because they do roughly quarterly random background checks based on randomness, supposedly, and maybe suspicion. I don't know. I've passed all my drug tests since. So I passed it, right? And and then I went to the company that I work for and that I work for now. Been there almost a year, so I'm really happy about that. Um, Stability is awesome. Um, I passed the interview with flying colors. Everyone liked me. I was a good person. I passed the typing test. I passed the driving test because you have to know how to drive and type. I think I-414 needs to get up out of there. So I passed all everything I needed to do, and I was able to get that position. I secured it. I got the preliminary offer. The issue was that after I got the preliminary offer, they were going to revoke it because they did a background check, and in the background check, they did a thorough one from Checker, and they went back to everything. They went back to a situation that went back to me rolling a stop sign in 2009. I said, "Are you serious?" I wrote this big long thing about how I was doing AA, and at this time I went to a real life meeting. So, in the real life meeting, I had, gotten the chip. So I made so the checker gave me a place to explain everything, and I explained all this stuff about how I used to do Uber and Lyft. I was in a different industry. I had speeding tickets, and that none of this stuff should be held against me. Some of it is so old it shouldn't even be showing up in the background. And I fought it, and and then they said they gave me like a 5-day notice. So I think since the company's based out of California, if you're in California, they have to give you 5 days of notice to explain yourself again. So I had to do it. The first time it was checker requesting more information, and then the next time it was like the job themselves. Don't y'all know I called every single person in this company and I said, yeah, I used to have a drug problem. I used to drive and speed all over the place. I was in a bad place emotionally. I had a break with my ex. All my things were stolen. I wrote this big long thing in checker, and I think they were using that to revoke it. So I had to call everybody and say, hey, I'm willing to take a driving test right now, a defensive driving test to prove that I'm a great driver, because they were trying to revoke my thing based on my driving history. I'm like, hey, the man I was years ago is not the man who I am now. I passed all the requirements for the preliminary driving check because of my last 3-year DMV history was not bad, and it passed the requirements even though it was borderline. And I called everybody in the contracting company because I don't work directly for the tech company. I work for through a contractor. And I called everybody. I went, it was based, it's a company based out of New York. I talked to like 3, 4 different people. I left voicemails, and they finally decided to revoking my offer. And I was like, thank goodness. I was like, wow, I could not believe it. And I cried about it in multiple meetings. I'd be in all meetings all day, getting yelled at all day by customers in the 11-hour job. And man, I was just really hoping and wishing and meditating, trying to cool myself down. I'm in meetings about to break out in tears, trying to not relapse. And I'm so happy I didn't relapse. And not only did I did they do the second drug test, it would have looked really bad, and I probably would not have been in the right frame of mind to say whatever words I needed to say to whoever I needed to say them to keep the offer on the table. So they took back them taking back the job, and I started. And I have yet to have an issue with this job. Never had a write up, and almost it'll be a year, January 21st. Never had a write up. Never had an issue. At least nothing big enough to where they had to have a sit down with me or anything of that nature. I'm really grateful for that job. That's been the most stabilizing thing that's happened. I've done regular service in AANP, LifeRing, and yeah, just those two. But I've bounced around and done multiple different time slots in LifeRing covered for people. And I've really built up a community within the AA groups online as well as LifeRing. So for me, the more the merrier. I have a stack of numbers, thick stack of numbers in my phone. I mean, it's not physical numbers, but in my mind, it's like a lot because I can go down the phone and I can call people. I've called people in this room. I've called people in so many other rooms. I had a guy in real life I have an in real life recovery dharma. I just try to surround and stay in the community and stay humble. I never want to slip and fall again for any reason. I've come close. This year, I have gone through incarceration, uh, wanting to fight somebody, which is triggering for me. The guy didn't fight. I scared a guy twice my size, and he calls the cops on me. And the cops did not care about what the caller was originally calling about, but they got something else going on. So now I'm currently an open case, unfortunately. So that's affecting my ability to live where I want to live, in my own name. And it's really upsetting, but thankfully, I met a guy at the AI convention because during this job, I decided I'm going to do better at being more social. I'm not just going to stick to the internet all day, every day. I'm going to get out here and network and be, I wanted to feel more like a man, like I'm really recovered, like I'm really like a normal person for real. And I went to different meetup groups, board games and stuff. I went to an AI convention and I met my now business partner. I have part equity in his company, even though the jail situation kind of slowed me down. And I'm sleeping on his couch now. And I slept on there for a little while before I moved to other places. I moved within 4 months. I think I've moved about 4 or 5 times. The place that I was living at the time was a really good place for me, but what happened was they changed owners, and the new owner got in and had way less requirements for people. People caused all sorts of issues. The one person put me in jail. I befriended someone else in that room who I didn't put this together at the time, but they were constantly getting me sick, which is another big trigger. Me being so sick, I can't move out of bed, vomiting and diarrhea occasionally at the same time, both ends. I'm sorry for the graphic description, so trigger warning there if you need it. Um, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore, actually. So I had to, but what made that trigger was I had to call out of work, and I really enjoyed the job, and I also really enjoyed the paycheck. So I burned through the remaining 2 PTO days I had when this happened, as well as 3 unpaid days. And this person was trying to coach me, say, "Hey, you need to do this, and you need to do that." The whole time, this person had some type of colonitis, which I found out later. So they're basically spreading germs around, and it was really disgusting. And they were fixing her food, acting like they were so nice. They threw her some money, and I thought this was a good person, but this person was evil. I moved in with her in another place. I gave her half the rent, and she said she was coming with the other half, but she gets it from this other guy that was also there, who was a really nice guy. I'm still in touch with him, but apparently he and her had something going on. She wasn't really above board with a lot of stuff, and I'm going to leave that there. Um, we moved in under her name under an Airbnb. We ended up getting kicked out. under her name because her name was like no good. She argued with the other person because the new owner was doing Airbnb stuff, I guess, and she had an argument with them, ruined her name. So we all had to get out of that place like ASAP. I worked out a deal with the owner, even though she said, "Oh, you wrote my name. You got to get out." And I was like, "Hey, man, it has nothing to do with you. Airbnb is not the police, man. I'm talking to the owner." So I think she had some mental issues, and I feel bad, but that's not my problem, and she's causing me problems. So if people don't learn, then they're not going to learn. But I don't need that around me. So I was working doing DoorDash. I'm trying to scramble money together to get another living situation going. And I come home to her, throw myself. I got so mad. I was beside myself. Another triggering thing. I see the owners and I immediately calm down because if I said, man, if I act a fool, they're going to put me in jail. And this whole time I still have this case going. So I can't do that. So I talk to the owners, work out a deal with them, uh, get the police trespass on her, and then now I'm trying to figure out the situation. But now I think at this point, I'm putting together that she was getting everyone sick. Her germs were in that house. Food she made was in that house. And I said, I need to get out of this house. I don't care what these people are going to do for me. I need to leave. So I move again. But I wasn't really ready to move. But I moved out a little bit more than I wanted to. I set up another situation with a place that was really close to my house. I mean, not my house, my job. And location, it was great, but that was the only good thing about it. I was living with a woman that apparently had just went through a divorce. I had some anger or animosity towards people. I feel like certain people or whatever. I have a snoring problem. I let this woman know that from the get-go, from the rip. She did not disclose to me that she would share a wall with me. Had I known that, I would not have moved in. She thinks she's doing me a favor. I think I'm doing her a favor by moving in. I gave her money to hold it. I'm getting some bad vibes. She's sending me these long, massive texts, like blocks and walls of text. Ain't nobody got time to read that. I work a job for 40 hours, and I spend another 10 to 20 hours uh, working on the software still doing it right now. I worked on it early today, and I'm spending time in the gym and doing other stuff I got to do, door dashing. I have no time. I don't want to read anyone's shit. So I gave her like 200 to 300 and I'm trying to move out. I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I'll just move out. You're hating on me because I'm snoring. I can't help it. It costs money and time, and I've been through this stuff for years, and I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to snore for a while. So I said, let me get out. She's, oh no, well, you can't get a refund. And I'm like, okay, well, you keep the money and some of the stuff that I moved in, um, as a start to move in because I'm moving everything by myself, and I have enough stuff to where it'd be multiple trips, and I don't have a ton. And she's like, oh well, I'm gonna keep the money. I said, all right, well let me move out. And then she does some big long stupid text. I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll move in. We'll make it work. We'll do our best. I'll be nice to her. And this whole time she's so condescending to me, acting like I'm a piece of shit. I'm paying 900 a month to be treated like shit. The bed was hard. I couldn't sleep on it very well after a couple of weeks. It's costing me sleep. And now I'm 2 months into this living situation. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I spent most of the last month not even sleeping there. I had to sleep on my friend's couch because I couldn't sleep. And obviously you can't drive a car for 8 hours on very little sleep. You can't drive fatigue. It's very similar to driving drunk. I tell her this. And basically she tells me what I was going to tell her that I have to move. I'm all right, cool. I'm not going to argue with you there because you're being mean every time I see you. I don't want to deal with you. So I eventually get ready to move my stuff out. The day I'm moving out, she's mad at me because I just blocked her like 2 weeks before I moved out, and she's trying to text me when I got to move out and all these rules and regulations she wants to regulate on people because she ain't got no job but renting rooms apparently. So and I'm moving out a big ass desk by myself. I got a towel down so it doesn't scratch her floor, and I'm moving it down. And it's like 1 in the afternoon, and she's angry because I'm making noise. She was like, "What are you doing? It's so loud. People are trying to sleep." As I'm on a phone call with somebody, because I'm knowing this is another triggering situation, and she was like, and she was staring at me like, "Hello, can I talk to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, are you gonna fucking help? I'm busy." And she says, "You're making so much noise. Some people are trying to sleep." I said, "Who's trying to fucking sleep at 1 in the afternoon?" And I said, "Get the hell up." And she keeps, I say, "Hey, get the hell on. Get up out of here. I'm on the phone." And I moved my desk out by myself. I ended up getting so mad, I just slammed it in my car. I broke my own desk. So that's in my buddy's storage now. I got to fix it later. It shouldn't be too hard. And I moved the rest of my stuff out, and I left the AA book in the house because it was a traditional AA book, and I never really read it, to be honest. And so I moved everything out but the book, and this is like my second and final trip to the house to get the remaining things. Since now I'm moving to where I currently live, which is on my friend's couch, my business partner. And I'm happy I'm staying there because we're working on a lot of stuff together. I just wish he had more space, or we had a 2 bedroom or some deal like that. But I'm not going to get into that. We can't do it. And or he can't upgrade, and we're not going to do that. And so he's sitting in the car, and so he's hearing this. So this woman brings out the AA book. It's boom, slams on the top of the car, and he slams on top of the car, and sure, she slams it on top of the car, rather, and then she's like, no, no, no. She comes out and she said, "You forgot something," and she just sneaks up on me. I'm about to like slap her. You know what I'm saying? I was like, why is this person just running up on me like that? And she's like, you forgot your book. I said, I don't need that book. And then she slams it on the top of my car and walks off. So I get in the car with my buddy. I said, man, this woman just put the AA book in the car. I'm just gonna drive off. And we drove back to his house with the rest of my things, and the book probably fell on the ground somewhere. I don't care. I think somebody for the group gave me that book because I was trying to get a sponsor and stuff. And I didn't really need that. So a lot of this year really for me, and then now I'm in my present situation, so I'm still maintaining, I'm still surviving. I'm trying to get back to thriving. It's going to take a minute. I got to work through some things, and I'll be all right. I got a lawyer. I got a lawyer. I got sense. I meditate daily. I'm starting to get back into exercise. Finally, my exercise habit got thrown off when the situation happened a few months ago. But I'm back at it. I've got this is like my fourth time going this week or third. I don't know. But I'm going regularly. I just ran before this meeting, which is why I'm sitting in the car in the dark. I'm in the parking lot because I kind of ran late on time. I was goofing off in my other AA room I go to for the meeting, and yeah, I just ran for like half an hour. I was really gassed when I came in here, so I was looking crazy when I logged in. So my bad. But yeah, so I'm just really grateful that I've maintained my sobriety. It's been a really rough year, but it's been a good year. I did a lot of mental health stuff. I worked through the Artist Way with Julia Cameron. We had a book group from some people that came on here a lot. And through the book group, we did like eight out of 12 weeks together, and it was really good. There was a lot of 12-step type of things incorporated in there, lots of amends, and all the steps are in there. I worked through some stuff with Charlie with the Jeffrey Munn book, and we did like the first 4 steps. So I'm telling you, I'm not like a true AA person, but I do love and respect what it's done for people, and there is value in it. So you should absolutely come to the meetings. I come to the meetings religiously, like it's like I'm on day one. Some weeks, and I've learned a lot from reading the Sober Steps by Jeffrey Munn, which is an amazing book. People in this meeting have talked about it a lot. So we went through that. Been through the Artist's Way. I've been through therapy. Therapy is super important. So in therapy, I did a lot of processing of past events. I had to process a 2023 event. I'm realizing me just crying and yelling in meetings is not going to solve everything. So I did that, and yeah, so that was done. So that was good for me. I went through 2 different therapists actually. I take propranolol for my anxiety, I'm diagnosed now with adjustment disorder with anxiety, mainly due to the 2023 situation. But I've had a lot of other anxiety-inducing and traumatic stuff, so I think I may have PTSD and some other stuff. But right now, what I'm doing seems to be working. I do need to get back into therapy. I just changed uh, medical providers through the workplace, and I would love to just find something completely new and just kind of get back to work there. I think it's important. Meditation has been important to me. I usually do like 5 to 10 minutes on Insight Timer. I do a lot of box breathing, and I'm just gonna wrap up by saying I try to use as many tools as possible in my recovery. I write a lot. I do the morning pages still occasionally by Julia Cameron. That's the main thing I got from that book, and the meetings are my main tool. And I'm happy to have shared all this time with you. And yeah, it's 1 year later, been doing Zoom meetings for a little over a year, get lots of value from it. And I'm going to try to get back into AANP specifically more. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks for listening to me ramble and babble on from the crazy man. Appreciate that. Bye.